Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports, as always. My name is Caleb Deloach, and we've got one thing really only to talk about here this past week. The Jackson Indians upset the number one team in Class 6, the CBC Cadets, at home to punch their ticket to the Class 6 semifinals this upcoming Saturday at Lee's Summit High School. I mean, just start to finish, an electric atmosphere. I mean, as many of you know by now, I do play-by-play on 104.7 The Bridge, Withers Broadcasting. If you want to hear more of me, I'd call the Jackson games, football, and then basketball coming up soon. So, you know, I mean, I've been watching this team every down the last 3 years, and, man, just seeing the culmination of this, you know, new era for Jackson, Coach Ryan Nesbitt coming in. I was there year one. It was my first year at the radio station. And to get to this point now, they beat a CBC. They punched their ticket to the Class 6 semifinals. It's crazy. It was such an awesome Saturday. I mean, first Saturday day game at the pit in over a decade, like 12, 13 years, something like that. And, I mean, the atmosphere was electric. Got a shout-out to the Jackson fans. Shout out to the CBC fans. A lot of them came down. They were loud. But, yeah, Jackson fans, you know, I don't know what their reputation is. I know people love the pit across the state. They're always enamored by it. Big atmosphere. The whole town always shows up. But Jackson fans usually don't have a lot of reason to feel like they need to help push the team over the edge, right? A lot of home games. The Indians are beating people by 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 points sometimes. So, you know, this was an atmosphere or a time where the fans needed to show up and get loud and make their presence known, and they did that. So shout out to everybody in the stands. I mean, from having my bird's eye view, it was just an awesome, awesome experience. You know, the final was 45-42, and I said it a bunch on the radio after the game, during the game, whatever. You know, this was also kind of the culmination of the Drew Parsons, like, experience, right? A couple years ago, he's a sophomore. He's a backup quarterback to Adrian Fox. Adrian's having an awesome senior season, leading the Indians to a really, really good first year under Coach Nesbitt. Against Lindbergh, get injury. I don't know if it was knee, ankle, what it was exactly, but gets knocked out for the season. You know, Drew comes in, plays well against Lindbergh, gets his first ever start in the district title game against Seckman, plays really well in that game, and then his second ever start is at home against CBC. And, you know, was doing things all right there early in the ball game. The back half of the game, needed to make some plays, kind of got away from him, started throwing some picks, things like that, trying to force it downfield. Last year, you know, he takes a little bit of a step forward. You know, he's a full-time starter now. He starts making plays. You know, the turnovers here and there and bigger moments are kind of questionable. They get to the quarterfinals again. We just are maybe a play or two short there, losing up at Kirkwood. And then this year against CBC, a team a lot of people, you know, have considered the number one team in the state. Wire to wire, a lot of people have. You know, a lot of people really respect the CBC program, obviously, as you should. They've won like 5 state titles in the last 10, 15 years, whatever it is. So, you know, maybe not known for their defense, definitely known for their offense, but, you know, they come in, and Coach Nesbitt just put the ball in Drew's hands, said, we're going as far as you can take us here in this ball game. And he answered the call, man. He showed out. He balled out. And, you know, unofficially, the stats we had up in the booth had him at 15 for 22 passing, 255 yards, 3 touchdowns on the air, 17 carries, 142 yards, another touchdown on the grounds. I mean, the kid was up near 400 yards of total offense, 4 total touchdowns. His favorite target, as it has been a lot of times this season, Jory Toma. Toma made some great individual plays. He had 7 catches, 134 yards, 3 scores. Jalen Hampton had 2 touchdowns. He was up around 70 yards. He had a catch or 2 also, picked up big gains there. Evan Turley had 3 catches, but those went for nearly 60 yards. Blaine Reagan, both sides, every side of the ball, I guess. Offense, defense, special teams. Made a ton of plays, a lot of tackles all over the field. He had an interception in the fourth quarter. He had a few receptions. I think he had him near 50 yards receiving. The defense was unbelievable. I mean, you hear 42 points allowed. How good can they be? Theoretically, right? But, I mean, the defense did their job throughout most of this ball game. I mean, they made Nick McClellan, the quarterback of CBC, who is, I will see what happens now. I mean, if they won this game, he was poised to be the Class 6 Player of the Year, in my opinion. So we'll see. Could be a quarterback of Jackson. I don't know. We'll find out. They limited Vic Williams on the ground pretty well. He had one big play on kind of a touch pass, but I mean, outside of that, the Indian defense did a great job. They had 5 sacks. I mean, just a phenomenal day up front there for the Indians. I mean, the game, if you want to break down how the game went, I'll run through it for you here. It's going to be a little bit of a process, but Jackson came out on fire, and that's what they needed to do. They needed to come out, kind of punch CBC in the mouth if they could, get a lead, and then try to just maintain that lead and keep CBC at arm's length as long as you can. CBC does have an unbelievable offense. They can just score in a second, right? They have 1-play drives, 2-play drives, returns for touchdowns all season long. They've just been an electric offense. Like, a lot of times how you've seen Jackson, if you're a Jackson fan, in these games where Jackson's playing. I think back to like the Farmington game, the Poplar Bluff games, things like that, where the Indians score 3 touchdowns in the first 5 plays of the game. That's how CBC plays. They're big play offense. And Jackson came out strong. They drove right down the field, passing and running the ball. Got to the red zone, hit Jory Toma for the first touchdown of the game, and came out. I mean, the defense early on especially forced a ton of punts for CBC. This is probably the most punts CBC's ever had in a game this season. I haven't looked at the stats on that, but taking my own liberties there. They forced CBC to punt after they got a big sack. I think it might have been Boyd Langford. Also something to talk about. Boyd Langford was a guy came into the year as the most known quantity at the linebacker position for the Indians. They're in the middle linebacker spot. He goes down early. Dawson Bortner steps in, kind of just holds that spot the rest of the year. Boyd was in the platoon there, rotating in consistently with the ones. But, he's taken a step back a little bit from where you thought he might have been this season. Dawson Bortner, I think on the opening kickoff, got hurt. And Boyd stepped in, had an awesome game tackling. He was, playing as a quarterback spy a lot of times. And I believe he was the one who got this first big sack of the game, forced CBC to punt. Indians, maybe the individual play of the day. Second possession for Jackson. Drew, snap goes off his fingertips. He has to turn, run, pick it up off the ground. He's got 3 or 4 CBC players just in his face. He looks up, sees Jory Toma out in the right flat, hits him. Jory Toma, thanks to Blaine Reagan, Evan Turley, downfield blocking, 67 yards to the house, 14-0 Indians. I mean, in the booth, I'm like, okay, all right, hot start. This is exactly what we need. Then defense gets another stop, forces another punt. Indians are driving. Unfortunately, the drive stalls in the red zone. I was really surprised. They brought out the kicking unit. I want to say they needed 4 yards to pick up a first down. Brought in Jack Outman. And if memory serves, Outman had attempted 1 kick and he missed a few weeks ago, I believe, maybe against Oakville. And so, I mean, it was a real, who knows? Who knows what's about to happen? And it was a 30-yarder, and he hit it from the left hash, put Jackson up 17-0. And at that point, I was just like, okay, this is what we need. We just got to keep scoring with them now. We'll take this lead right here. And immediately, concern coming in, Jackson special teams, they're really good sometimes and then have some issues some other times. And this was one of those issues where Vic Williams returned a kick for a touchdown, 85, 90-something yards. And, I mean, he just had a lane straight in front of him. The ocean just opened up. And he just, I don't even know, he barely took a step left or right. He just caught it, ran straight ahead, scored up the Indian sideline. 17-7, so, there's a little bit of fear there. And I believe on that next drive, the Indians got backed up to 3rd and 13. Drew Parsons made a phenomenal individual play where he tucked it and ran, broke some tackles, got across the line to gain, picked up the first down, continued the drive. Another scary moment. Jalen Hampton gets the ball punched out near the goal line. But shout out to the Mizzou commit. The Mizzou commit. Bryson Wessel gets in the bottom of the pile, falls on it. Indians give it right back to Hampton. Keep trusting the junior. And he punched it in. Indians go up 24-7. At that point, everybody was kind of freaking out. Okay, everybody's just like, "Hey, we're up 24-7 against the number one team in the state." Come back, Indians force another punt, and then they just get the ball back, hit a bomb to Evan Turley. Great reception by Turley. He went up over a couple defenders, and then they hit Jory Toma on the right flat on a screen pass. Good blocking, huge hole opened up for him again. He takes it 30 yards to the house. 31-7 at the end of the first quarter. Indians were winning 31-7. At that point, there was a brief second in my mind. It was 50. It was one way or the other. I thought the game could go. I was like, is Jackson about to win this game like 50-14? Like, is this about to be a running clock? The other part of me was like, this is great, but CBC is about to fight like heck to get back in this game. And that is what happened. CBC turned around, had a long scoring drive. They score on a 10-yard touchdown pass from McClellan to Corday Gage. I believe that was aided by a big penalty on the Indians. It made it 31-14. CBC playing with their hair on fire at this point. You know, they pumped themselves up. They motivated themselves the rest of this ball game and stuck in it. They got a big sack on Drew Parsons, and then they got the ball back, you know, quickly drove down the field, 30-yard touchdown pass to Courtney Rivers, made it a 10-point game. The nerves started coming back out for me personally. I don't know how everybody else was feeling. I was like, oh no, here we go. And, you know, a huge, huge moment. CBC the entire time had been also trying to be cautious kicking off because Jackson has dudes back there, right? Blaine Reagan, Memphis Maddox are two just freak athletes, super, super fast, athletic kids. And so they'd been kicking short all ball game, keeping it out of their hands. So Jackson had been getting pretty good field position because of it. They decide to kick it deep. They kick it to Memphis. He, I think, tried to turn and catch it over his shoulder. It goes off his fingertips. So he's got to retreat. He picks it up at about the 5, give or take, inside the 10. Picks it up, returns it, cross field all the way down inside the 10-yard line, and got pushed out of bounds, I believe. Kind of ran out of gas a little bit there, understandably. And then Jalen Hampton, very next play, one play, touchdown, 9 yards. Put Jackson up 38-21, got that big lead back, that 3-score lead back. It was huge for the momentum and just kind of, like I said, in this game, I kept saying it over and over on air. You just want to keep CBC at arm's length as long as you can. Hold them back as long as you can because they're going to start coming for you and you're going to have to hold on for dear life. And Jackson got out of the first half, did not give up another score. CBC had the ball with like 3 minutes, plenty of time. They got another big sack of McClellan. I think that was Zayden Johnson or Cameron Caldwell, one of the two. Got there to end the first half. But, like I said, they can score in the blink of an eye, and that's what happened. 65 yards on the first play of the second half, a kind of a pop pass to Vic Williams, the running back, and he took it around the edge to the house, 65 yards, make it a 10-point ball game again. Indians get it, immediately forced a punt. I'm like, this is not good. I mean, I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. You know, the entire time I knew that CBC can score, 14, 21 points in just a couple minutes, right? But CBC gets a little bit of a drive going. Indians get another big sack, makes it 4th and 20-something. They throw it deep toward the end zone. Memphis Maddox is there to break it up against Corday Gage. The turnover on downs. And I mean, this was the drive of the game kind of at this point. You know, the Indians, it was a 10-point game. I felt like they really needed to score again. They needed to get that lead back out to 3 scores if they want to be able to hold on. Because, I could tell that they were trying to run clock. They were trying to just, let's get out of here. Let's try to get this game over with as quickly as possible. And, I mean, this was it, man. This was the Drew Parsons, like, hey, we're kind of, the second half is not kind of going our way. Let me put you on my back. Let me put you on my back real quick. And I think, if I remember right, Cody Hinkbein, he keeps stats for me up there in the booth. He does a great job on color commentary. A lot better at math than me, a lot better quickly figuring out how far and distances were on the football field. judge me. I think Drew Parsons total has 65 yards rushing on that drive by himself to just carry the Indians down the field. And, breaking tackles out in space, things like that, cutting back across field, making huge gains. And he was the one who punched it in on that drive himself. 7-yard touchdown run, another one where he, breaks a tackle going into the end zone. And that put the Indians back up 45-28 with 2:11 in the third quarter remaining. It's like, okay, this is a good distance, but once again, CBC is gonna probably score once or two more times, and we got to be able to do something. And CBC got the ball back. They got around midfield. It was another fourth down situation, and Blaine Reagan made a diving interception. Whatever. Technically, it gave the Indians worse field position, but you have no idea what's going to happen if you let the ball get by you. So, huge play by Reagan once again. Shouts at that kid also, just by the way. He had, like I said, several catches. They threw it to him in the flat several times, just quick, throw it out there. What can he do? Get a couple blocks. And, the kid played almost every snap of the ball game. There was a point in time where I thought he was gassed, like at the end of the first half, because, he was out there the entire drive on offense, and he comes out on the kickoff unit. He's the gunner on the outside for the kickoff unit. He then turns around, is playing corner, covering, Jaden Reed or Corday Gage, running routes 35 yards down the field over and over and over again. And so, shout out to him, shout out to conditioning, shout out to the strength coaches and everybody who's involved, Coach McDowell, getting these kids in shape. So continuing from there, Reagan gets the INT. Jackson, though, forced to punt to end the third quarter. CBC gets it. They're driving down the field. 3rd and 17. Big, kind of felt like a backbreaker right there a little bit. CBC picks it up, just barely gets by, I want to say Brock Reagan. He nearly made a play on the ball, just missed. Got it to, I think, Corday Gage. He had a big gain there on 3rd and 17. Ended with a 30-yard touchdown run by Courtney Rivers. Made it 45-35. Jackson gets it back. Parsons gets sacked on 3rd down. However, Jackson has to punt again. And, here we go. 10-point game. CBC's got the ball with whatever it was at the time, 7-8 minutes, something along those lines. They get it. They hit a long pass up the seam immediately. Let's say Jaden Reed. And then they punch it in a couple plays later at the goal line to make it 45-42. The first time it has been a one-score ball game since, 2 minutes into the ball game, right? Jackson scored first. They got a 3-and-out, scored again. We're off running at that point. But CBC had just reeled them back in. 45-42, 5:31 left on the clock. You knew at that point, like, if CBC gets the ball back with more than 30 seconds, it felt inevitable, right? It felt like it was just, there was a sinking feeling for me personally calling the game, like, oh no, like, we're going to have to do this. Like, CBC is going to get a stop. They're going to go down. They're going to score. Maybe they score fast, and then the pressure's on us. We got to score with like a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever. We burn off 3.5 minutes, and they score with like 12 seconds and rip everybody's heart out. I was just like, no, please don't go down this road, which I'm wearing an Arkansas sweatshirt. So maybe that's why I feel that. I only know hurt, but that's another therapy session for another time. Jackson, it felt like they just flipped a switch. They got aggressive again. They started throwing the ball. It's something they got away from is throughout the early part of the game, they had a lot of success just throwing quick screens out to Toma, to Reagan. They got back to it. They hit a couple passes. They picked up a couple first downs. Clock's moving. CBC's calling timeouts, things like that, to kind of try to slow down the ball game. And, Jackson's at midfield. They just keep it on the ground, pick up a couple yards, keep it on the ground, pick up a couple yards. It's 3rd and 7, 8, something like that. They hand it off to Hampton, picks up 3 yards. It's 4th and 5. Clock runs down. Jackson calls a timeout, I think, with 2:06 on the clock. So they call the timeout. Coach Nesbitt brings the offense over there. And looking from the booth, Cody and I were talking, what's the strategy here? Do you just bring out the punt team, kick it away? Do you bring out the offense, try to like hard count? Drew Parsons has a good hard count, even though in that moment, as just the only thing you're thinking about as a defender, don't jump. So, I mean, that was kind of where our thought process was. One of the two things was going to happen. They hard count, motion, hard count. Try to get CBC to jump, call another timeout, kick it away, put it in the hands of your defense, 2 minutes. The one thing I didn't think that was going to be done was I did not think the Indians were going to snap the ball and run a play on 4th and 5 with 2 minutes left in the game at the CBC 40. And that's what they did. Every defender on CBC was within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. They went straight, press man. They were on the receivers as close as you could to the line of scrimmage. There was no safety help, nothing. Everybody was in the box, and they had, I guess it was probably 4 or 5, DBs out there covering the Indian receivers. And Coach Nesbitt, once again, I mean, I said it, just steal stones down there. They snapped the ball. They give it to the guy that got him there, Drew Parsons. It was I think he had the option to throw, to sprint out to his right, and he just saw it as soon as he had the block. Shout out to Braden Harris on the right side, right tackle, sealed off the line of scrimmage there pretty well. And it was pretty much a foot race. Him and Cortland Collins, for those that don't know, Cortland Collins, the Metro Catholic Conference Player of the Year, leads the team in tackles, just big, strong, athletic kid. And it was essentially just a foot race between Drew and Collins, and Drew won. I mean, that's why we're here talking about it, right? Drew won, 4th and 5, sprint out off right tackle. He beats the defender to these sticks there on the sideline, gets lit up on the sideline, but got the first down and was able to kneel it out, right? I mean, it just calling that, I was just in pure shock, right, that they snapped the ball. It was like, all right, Parsons to the line of scrimmage, and they snap it, and he's running. I mean, it felt like I said, he had a couple guys downfield. They ran, they knew a straight man, so the corners over there had their backs turned to the quarterback as they were, chasing their receivers. And so, like I said, it was just Parsons in a foot race, and he made the play, man. He made the play when he needed to. Awesome, awesome moment. I mean, getting to kneel out the game at home, beating the number 1 team in the state was just one of the coolest scenes ever. Clock hit 0, whatever, they high-five, and people just start flooding the field, all the Indians fans, all the Indian student section, and then like this section of kids that were like 10 years old are all sprinting out there on the field going crazy. Just an all-time scene, just an all-time moment. Very, very cool. Awesome to be there, awesome to be a part of it, awesome to get to call the game, and yeah, I mean, just so much fun. And I mean, just an awesome win. Nobody expected it. I genuinely didn't think Jackson would win, right? I knew they could be there. Once again, I think this is the reason I expect only the worst things to happen to me. But yeah, I mean, I before the game, I was like, hey, CBC is the definitive favorite here, right? They are the number 1 team. They've been playing teams from everywhere, all over the country, yada, yada. I thought, like I said, I thought Jackson was good enough. I thought Jackson was was the best team they had seen all season, in my opinion. I thought Jackson's defense was good enough to keep them in it, slow down CBC enough for the offense to get going. But yeah, I mean, they went for it, right? The Indians went for it, not just in that moment, but they just unleashed Drew Parsons, right? They just said, hey, we've been saving you all season, right? Drew hasn't run a ton. He's a great athlete. He's not run a lot. Some of these games, I mean, he's picking up maybe 35, 40 yards on the ground. Today they said, hey, we have, if we don't make it out of this game, season's over anyway. So we're going to just feed you. I mean, he ran 1,000 speed options, it felt like. And CBC made a weird choice, it kind of felt like at times. I mean, it's an understandable choice. Jackson has Jalen Hampton, who's been, in my opinion, one of the very best running backs in the state of Missouri all season. And they just decided they were going to take him away in all these looks, all these option looks. They were going straight for Hampton and willing to let Drew beat him, and he did. He took what they gave him, and it was a lot at a lot of times. Some of the, like I said, overall thoughts. As somebody that watches the Indians a lot, it was really cool. They threw out a lot of different looks offensively, a lot of different formations that I hadn't seen all season long. A lot of different pre-snap motions. things like that. Just a lot of different alignments. I mean, the number of times they had Jory Toma in the backfield at running back several times. They had Grant Brown back there several times. They were motioning people around like crazy. Just kind of keeping things different, keeping CBC on their toes. I think that was very successful. Like I said a little while ago, they found a lot of success just throwing quick screens out there, which is really impressive against a team that is, really athletic like CBC is. To kind of beat them at their own game a little bit was really cool. Special teams was a concern. Like I said, coming into it, Jackson had given up a kickoff touchdown to the LeCrier Academy. They gave up 2 in the Festus game. They gave up 1 in this game. But overall, I think it was kind of a wash because, they gave up the touchdown, but Jackson had one down inside the 10-yard line. They scored on the very next play. The Indians, the fear of Memphis Maddox and Blaine Reagan gave the Indians really good field position throughout the game because CBC kept kicking short, and guys like Toma, Grant Brown catch the ball and, they're athletes, right? They went up and made plays. They gained extra yards here and there. Outman made the field goal, which was just incredible. I mean, look at that. Indians won by 3. Jack Outman, you are as important as anybody out there. He made all of his extra points. Huge. And Noah Moore felt like he executed kickoffs really well, kind of directionally kicked where they wanted him to. Grant Brown punted really well. CBC did not come after it at all, which was a surprise, especially after maybe the first punt or second punt, because, Brown would just take the snap and just take his time getting those kicks off. He's letting his guys get downfield. Like I said, he was facing no pressure. So, he would take his time, a couple steps, boot it, high kicks, perfect execution, did not let Corday Gage or whoever else they had back there at times get free. Did a great job, forced a lot of fair catches. That was huge. I mentioned, the defensive line, 5 sacks in the game. They're going to have their hands full, them, the linebackers, everybody, with Nick McClellan. Nick McClellan coming into the game at quarterback. He's a K-State commit at safety. He's a freak of nature athlete. Unbelievably fast, shifty, like crazy. And, they got after him, right? Just the 3 down linemen. Jackson plays 3-4. They rushed just 3 a lot of times and got to the quarterback. Cameron Caldwell, Zayden Johnson, Keegan Brugman. All those guys got in there. They all got sacks, I believe at least one. The linebackers, when called upon, like Brett Finley, absolutely obliterated McClellan on one pass he had. He barely got it away, just crushed him. It was just a phenomenal effort. They tackled out in space against McClellan, against Williams. These guys, like I said, unbelievable speed, shiftiness. Those guys did a great job. Made his life super difficult. 5 sacks, all of them very, very big. All of them, I believe, led to punts. So, huge accomplishment for them. Running the ball, Nick Williams, last week against Lafayette, an undefeated Lafayette team, had 200 yards rushing. And they, on SEMO Ball, credit him with negative 20 yards, thanks to all the sacks and the fact he just couldn't run anywhere. There's not a lot of running room. The only thing he did at times was he extended some plays and would throw the ball late whenever the linebackers came up and closed on him. He would kind of dump it over the defense here and there every once in a while. Vic Williams on his carries had only 12 carries for 36 yards. This is a guy averaging 14 yards a carry. He was going to have his name like top 3 all time in Misha record books, yards a carry this year, right? Unbelievable athlete. Indians stifled the run. They gave up some big plays, right? They gave up a couple long runs or, the pop pass, the kickoff return. But, that's only the 3rd time, I think, this season CBC has been held under 50 points, which is crazy. But those other 2 were blowout wins where they won. They beat SLU like 37-0. And so, just unbelievable team effort. I could sit here and talk about this game forever. I was just blown away. Like I said, the way they started, I was just, my head was spinning. I was just like, this is 31-7. Nobody expected it. The CBC fans were just shocked. Everybody was shocked. It was incredible. Everybody online, all the St. Louis people were freaking out, which I get. It was, I did not expect 31-7. So shout out to the Indians, man. They came in, they punched them in the mouth, and they punched their ticket to the semifinals. It was the first time in the Class 6 semifinals. Indians went to semifinals or later. 3 consecutive years there in 19, 20, 21 in Class 5. Now finally got over the hump, right? This is what they wanted to do from the very beginning of the year. This is what a lot of Jackson fans thought they could do with this team at the very beginning of the year. Once you beat Cardinal Ritter week 1, you're like, okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead and circle November 22nd against CBC because that's who we're going to be playing. We're going to be there. And is this the year? The answer is yes, this is the year. So congrats to the Indians. Congrats to Coach Nesbitt. I've loved his 3 years here. He's been a lot of fun getting to talk to him here and there. The kids are great attitudes. They're fun to watch. Entertaining product, obviously. And yeah, just awesome accomplishment. So shout out to the Indians. We'll talk about the game here coming up against Lee Summit in just a minute. We had a couple other sporting events happen. Fun fact. I don't know if anybody knew that. Because winter sports have started now. So it's kind of my favorite time of year, getting that crossover. You're playing biggest of the big football games. Oh, hey, and then also there's a basketball game going on up there. So very fun time. One thing I want to shout out, the Indians, Lady Indians, had a wrestling tournament up at Troy on Saturday, while 90% of Jackson residents were paying attention to football, understandably. The Lady Indians went up there, showed well. I'll just run through the names and where they placed. Alicia Glastetter came in third at 115. Alize Gonzalez came in ninth at 170. Ella Carr at 155 came in sixth. Faith Price at 155 came in fifth. Kylie Self at 145 came in fifth. Lily Morningstar came in fourth at 120. Macy Novak came in fifth at 125. And we had two ladies got first place. Scarlett Dixon, 235. I was not familiar with Scarlett up until today. Wrestled well, though. Very dominant. Just crushed a girl from Pattonville and a girl from Fox. And then maybe something you've come to expect now if you keep up with Jackson girls wrestling. Kaylee Milam came out. She looks every bit as good as you expect and anticipate this year. She got first place in 110. She obliterated a girl from Troy, girl from Holt, girl from Pattonville, and a girl from Timberland. Her matches total lasted under 10 minutes in 4 matches. So just a dominant showing by Kaylee Milam. She's one of the very, very best in the entire state. So excited to see where she can go, but also shout, like I said, Scarlett Dixon getting first there. So I'm excited to see what she can do this season. We also had 3 girls basketball games, kind of a cool event. If the Jackson football game was not happening on a Saturday, something I might have attended. Up in Farmington, they had a kind of an all-day basketball thing. Started at 8 a.m. Too early to play basketball. Saxony was the first team to play there. They lost to Arcadia Valley. A good Arcadia Valley team, 20-something wins last year, 66-41. Second game of the day. The Jackson Indian, or not the second, but the second game for our local teams around 11. Jackson played a good Hillsboro team. This is a Hillsboro team that won like 25 games last year. They brought back all their top 5 scorers. I thought this would be a good test. If the Indians bring back a lot of talent, obviously, they were a super young team last year. They're going to still be really young. They're going to be playing some younger girls too, a lot of freshmen even. And they blew the doors off Hillsboro, 62-31. I haven't got to really dive in. I've watched some of the game. Early on, it just looked like the usual suspects were playing really well, right? Kate Deck looked really good shooting the ball off the dribble, off the bounce, getting in the paint, finding teammates, really good passing, what you're kind of expecting. Only a sophomore. Crazy. Speaking of sophomores, Addison Henderson looked really good. Lefty, knocking down a couple threes early in the ball game where I watched. I pretty much watched the first half. And I'm not making threes. If she can consistently make, 35-40% from, wing threes, things like that, gonna have a good year. And then Lauren Dory early was just playing really, really well around the basket. What you expect, rebounding well, scoring around the rim, knocking down mid-range, things like that. Super talented, super skilled kid, man. Especially at that size, super, super skilled. So Indians blow the doors off Hillsboro, beat them by 31. Excited to watch this team. I'm very, very excited about the Jackson girls basketball like I was last year. They look like they're not going to slow down. So the final game, Cape Central, they got rocked by Potosi 70-40. Very good Potosi team. This is a Potosi team looking to maybe make a run at state this year. They got a girl, I want to say Chloe Rowe. She put up like 30 in the ball game. So tough break for the Tigers. One person that was a positive, though, for Cape Central I saw, Caden Kern, her first varsity basketball game looked really good. So excited to see her and excited to see what they can kind of do as we go throughout the season, start getting team together. A lot of people have been playing volleyball, things like that. So kind of late getting everybody together for some of these teams. So we will keep an eye on how people play throughout the rest of this year. But, the big thing people want to talk about, right? Jackson football in the state semifinals at Lee Summit. So if you're wanting to go to the game, put some gas in your car. You're going to be traveling to Kansas City, 4 or 5 hours away from Jackson area, depending on where you live. So it's a hike. Once again, yours truly will be on the call. If you want to listen online on your radios, 104.7, look up 1047thebridge.com, I think is the online link. Listen to your boy if you haven't listened to me enough. And so what do I know? The basic numbers here. Lee Summit is 8-4. So you might say 8-4. It's not that good of a record to be in the semifinals. Jackson's going to blow the doors off this team. Maybe. But they've won 8 of those 12, all 8 of those wins have come consecutively. So they are very, very hot. On the season, they average 27 points a game. They're giving up 21.7. However, during this last 8-game stretch, the averages are 33 scored versus 18 allowed. So they flipped a switch here, these last 8 ball games. They played a tough schedule early on. Liberty, who they just turned around and beat again, or got revenge against, Blue Springs South, teams of that nature. And also they're playing without a couple of their better players, especially on the offensive side or both sides of the ball for them. Karsten Fine, a running back who also plays defense as well, and Preston Hatfield, a kid who does everything. Hatfield missed significant time early on. He missed those first 4, 5, 6 games, something like that. He's only registered online. His stats only show he's playing 6 games. And Karsten Fine missed the first couple games as well. So they have a little bit of excuse there. And since those guys have been all together, they're 8-0, right? This team, like I said, I don't know a ton about historically. They have not just been great as of recent. You look on the Misha website, you click on the history button there. This is their first district title. It goes back to 2009. So since 2009, this is the first time they've even won a district title, gotten past that point in the playoffs. So, that's a big, huge accomplishment for them. Shout out to them. They play a tough region. They're in a district with North Kansas City. It's who they beat in a championship game. Lee Summit North, who won a state title just a couple of years ago. Lee Summit West, Park Hill South. They're in that Class 6 region for over in Kansas City, was like Blue Springs South, Staley's of the world, who might not be a power right now, but have been really good. But the turnaround is thanks, I'm in large part to Todd Miller. Todd Miller's the head coach now. He took over 2024 and immediately flipped a switch, right? You look at their records, and before he got there, let's just look at, 2020 to 2024. They went 2-8, 4-6, 4-6, 4-7. Todd Miller gets hired. They go 8-3, and now 8-4, and they're in the Class 6 semifinals. So, they've been to one state title game in school history. They lost back in 1985 to Hazelwood Central. So, this is not a team that's, a traditional perennial power. So this is a big, big year for them. They're not going to want to see this season end, especially on their home field. So they're going to be playing a very, very tough brand of football. I mentioned Coach Todd Miller. He comes over from Colorado Springs, Colorado, went to Pine Creek High School. His accomplishments there. He coached for 27 years. In the last 19 years when he was at Pine Creek, he had 4 state titles in the second biggest class in the state over in Colorado. He had 10 semifinal appearances, 16 conference championships, and he was the 4A Coach of the Year 3 times. So, this guy has an incredible resume, and you can see it. He's already turned around this Lee Summit team that had not had a lot of success, and they are now playing at a very, very high level, and that is because they are led by some freak of nature athletes. I mentioned one kid, Preston Hatfield. Preston Hatfield, you can just designate the position as athlete if you want to, kind of quarterback, Last year, he was an all-state corner. He played running back and corner last year. He was all-state. And this year, they kind of give Preston Hatfield the ball offense, right? And he has a twin brother, Peyton Hatfield. Both these kids, freak athletes. The running back I mentioned, Karsten Fine, also very, very talented. Looking at stats, 6 games played, Preston Hatfield. 32 of 43 passing. So, like I said, they put him at quarterback. Doesn't throw it a ton, but 32 of 43, great efficiency. 470 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's run the ball 109 times in 6 games for 946 yards, 10 touchdowns. He also has 3 receptions for 42 yards. Oh, and they also put him in a kick return in the district title game. He had a 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So, Jackson, you got to stop. You got to slow down this kid, which, the Indians have found a way to do this quite often. I get it, but this kid, super, super dangerous athlete. His twin brother, Peyton, more of a wide receiver, traditionally more than anything. However, he's played everywhere. He has thrown 6 passes for 125 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception at quarterback. He's carried the ball 35 times for 240 yards and a touchdown. He has 44 catches, 354 yards at score, and he has 14 tackles playing defense. So these kids are all over the field, making plays everywhere. I mentioned Karsten Fine. He's their main running back. But guess what? Karsten Fine has thrown 8 passes. He is 8 for 8 for 93 yards. He's carried 133 times, over 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. He has 17 receptions for 435 yards, 4 scores. And he's a starter on defense. He has 51 tackles. He has a tackle for a loss. He has an interception. And then kind of the big name on defense, guess what? He also does it all. Drew Benassi. Drew is 3 for 9 passing. Every kid on the team has attempted like a few passes, okay? I'm going to pull up those stats too, but Benassi has 43 yards passing. He has carried the ball 98 times this season, and in those 98 carries, he has 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 catches, 19 yards, and a score. He's our leading tackler on defense. He has 113 tackles, 15 tackles for a loss, 3.5 sacks. He has an interception, 9 deflections, and 2 fumble recoveries. So, I mean, they've got guys who play all over the field doing a little bit of everything. I'm telling you, these. I implore you, look up Lee Summit, Missouri football, and look up their max preps. Go to their offensive stats, and it is one of the most bizarre statistical sheets you've ever seen. They have 3 kids that have attempted 30 or more passes on the season. Kid named Dayton Masters, Hatfield, I mentioned, and Christian Don. Don has attempted 53. He started those early games. Hatfield has attempted 43. Masters has attempted 32. And then they have 3 other kids that have attempted 5 or more passes to weirdly good efficiency. So his twin, Hatfield, Fine, and Benassi. All these kids have attempted passes, and like several in meaningful moments of football games. And then, I mentioned carrying. They got the 3 big guys, Fine, Hatfield, Benassi, and then also the twin Hatfield, 35 carries as well. At receiver, it's Peyton Hatfield and Fine mostly. They have a kid as a sophomore, Trillo, who's a really good athlete, has some crazy basketball highlight dunks, things like that. He's averaging nearly 30 yards of reception for 4 touchdowns, so he's a big playmaker type kid. They just got athletes all over the field. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a different look. They are very heavy run. A lot of times I was trying to find some video of them. I did finally a little bit later. And, they sometimes show a more traditional look, maybe with a guy they feel more comfortable at quarterback. They run a lot of stuff out of the pistol sometimes. But then, for a lot of this stuff that they're doing, they've been getting the Hatfield kid, Preston Hatfield, and they have him behind quarterback or behind center at quarterback. They've got 6 offensive linemen. They've got 1 receiver, whichever direction they're going to run the ball, and they've got 3 dudes in the backfield to block for Hatfield. He just takes the direct snap and goes, and he is electric with the ball in his hands. All right, he's a big time playmaker. So the Indians are going to have their hands full. You got to watch for just the I wouldn't even call it trickery as much as just them throwing a pass is a trick play basically a lot of times, right? I mean, it's a lot of, it's very run heavy. They do a lot of different looks out of it, a lot of different motions, things like that. It's going to remind a lot of people of, kind of a variation, different option looks. And, like I said, they let him throw it. The Hatfield kid is just a great athlete, Preston Hatfield. He can throw it. I mean, he's attempted 43 passes, 74% completion percentage. Not a lot of throws, but he does hit them when you give the option for him to. So it's going to be one of those things where they try to lull the Indians to sleep sometimes with the run and then maybe pop one up over the top. But like with any, semi one-dimensional team, if you can get them behind the chains, force them to pass, make them do things that they're uncomfortable doing, that is where the Indians are going to find success, right? If, they get the ball and it's loss of 1, 3-yard gain, and now it's 3rd and long over and over again. They're having to put the ball in the air. That's not a position they want to be in, right? They want to stay ahead of the chains. They want to keep pounding the rock, hand it off, run, just beat your head in with the Hatfield kid, or, they have a good size offensive line. Let them find, make holes for him. And if you give him a sliver, he can make people miss in the open field. I mean, he's crazy shifty. Reminds me a lot of the McClellan kid. I think he's built a little bit more solidly than the McClellan kid is. But, I mean, let's see, he's shorter. He's listed at 5'9". But no, he's very, very, very electric athlete. And like I said, the Indians, you can't just show up and think, we beat CBC, that's the state title game, we've accomplished it, we did it. Like, that's not the end, right? The goal, whatever, like the goal's not accomplished. That wasn't the end all be all where you want to be at, right? You want to keep the season going. You want to get to the next week, make it to the state title game, and then, you start over again. Look to go 1-0 again that week, right? I can do the coach speak thing too, right? So it'll be an interesting matchup. It'll be a long bus ride, right, for the Indians. I mean, that's always tough adjustment, having to drive across the entire state. Just a couple days after Thanksgiving, you've been out of school, your whole, routine is maybe a little jacked up, things like that. You got to come in, you got to lock in. Like I said, this Lee Summit team, they are going to be coming after you. They are going to, this is huge. This is a huge accomplishment for them, the school. They're going to show out. Their fans are going to be there in mass, I assume, and it's going to be good. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a big-time ball game. I'm very excited for it. And, yeah, I think this is a game the Indians can win. They just got to execute, stay healthy, take care of the football. And like I said, just don't get complacent. Don't be like, just don't think you can show up and dominate because you beat CBC, right? They're not going to give you anything. They don't care that you beat CBC. They beat teams that, they look up to, maybe the Liberties and people like that of the world. So Jackson got to show up. We got to play their game, but I think that this is a game that they can win if they just execute and get stops. You got to, if you keep them behind the chains, I think the Indians can have success. Outside of the football game, there's not much going on in the area. Football is over for everybody else, but basketball is getting started. However, everybody kind of takes a break here for the Thanksgiving holiday season here. So a lot's going to be starting the first week of December. I know the boys SEMO conference tournament seeds are out, the bracket's out, and the girls bracket is out. Take a peek at the girls bracket first. I believe those games are going to be played all over at Poplar Bluff. And that tournament starts December 1st. You've got Jackson as the 1 seed. They'll be taking on the winner of New Madrid and Saxony. So Saxony will be playing New Madrid on the 1st. If they win, they will be taking on the Indians. That'd be fun. Good to see the two Jackson teams face off early in the year here. Cape Central is the 5 seed. They're playing Poplar Bluff on the 2nd. So Jackson will be playing at 5:30. Cape will be playing at 7 there on the 2nd. Be an interesting matchup. Cape is going to be playing the home team, Poplar Bluff, so that'll be tough. And then semifinals on the winning side is on the 4th, and then the finals on the 5th. Championship game is at 8:30. So late night over there in Poplar Bluff. And then on the boys side of things, SEMO Conference tournament bracket is out. But I do want to point out one more thing going on, or a couple things going on before that. Jackson is playing December 2nd, December 4th, and December 5th up in Farmington. So I have the schedule here. The 2nd, they play at 5:30 against Rockwood Summit. On Thursday the 4th, they play at 5:30 against St. Pius out of Festus. And then on the 5th, they play Farmington at 7 p.m. They're at Farmington. So they'll have their hands full. Rockwood Summit's really good. We might talk about this. We will do a basketball preview, and we will start putting out basketball interviews. I wanted to kind of preserve the sanctity here of football season, but the Indians are making this difficult. They're playing football into basketball season now, making my life a little complicated. So we'll figure that out. I'll get all the stuff out. I'll get the basketball stuff started rolling out here soon for all of you. Yeah, the Indians on the boys' side will have their hands full. They've got, like I said, tough Rockwood team. They got a big 6'8" kid who's really good around the rim, so that'll be interesting to see. And then Cape Central is playing up at DeSoto, the Fountain City Classic thing they play in every single year. Them and Sykeston are in it. The way they're doing it now, there's two pools. Pool A has Sykeston, St. John, and DeSoto. Pool B has Cape, Fort Zumwalt West, and Fox. So those teams will all play each other within their own pools. Cape plays Monday, December 1st at 8:30 p.m. That sucks. And then they play again on Wednesday, December 3rd at 8:30 p.m. against Fort Zumwalt West. That also stinks. I think Fort Zumwalt West beat them in this last year, so it's going to be interesting. I like the Tigers a lot. I went to their jamboree. Them and Saxony were playing. They've got some young guys at guard that I'm really excited about. Some guys that, I've seen play throughout, youth leagues, things like that. So it's going to be interesting. They have a good front court. And then in a theoretical world where Cape and Sykeston both finish at the top of their pool, they would play each other December 6th at 1 p.m. So if Cape comes in second in their pool, then they will be playing at 10 a.m. on Saturday, December 6th. That also sucks. Goodness gracious. So there's that. Now, looking over at SEMO Conference Tournament. I will mention December 4th, Notre Dame is hosting St. Mary's Southside. That'll be very interesting. The boys SEMO Conference Tournament, I was impressed, surprised, whatever you want to say. Cape Central got the 1 seed ahead of Sykeston. I mean, if you ask me, though, I think Sykeston probably still the favorite to win the tournament. It's going to be at their place. And I like what they have coming back. Kobe Thomas, Jaharis Goodwin, things like that. I'm really excited. But Cape is the 1 seed. They'll play the winner of Kennett and New Madrid in that 8-9 play-in game. Get a 10th team, boys and girls. I don't care who it is. On the boys' side, Saxony, Farmington. Farmington already plays like Cape, Sykeston, Notre Dame, Jackson, like every single year. I know them playing Kennett is kind of stinks or whatever in the regular season, but just join the SEMO Conference. You're in there for football. So Cape will play the winner of the 8-9 game, Kennett New Madrid. And then if, let's say they win that, they'll be playing the winner of Dexter and Charleston, who I like a lot, both kind of dangerous teams this year. Notre Dame will be playing the home team Monday, December 8th. They'll be playing the Bulldogs at 8 p.m. They will have their hands full there. I'm excited about Notre Dame this year. A lot of young guys coming up. So I'm excited to see how those guys translate to the varsity level. And then Jackson is the 6:30 game on that Monday, December 8th. They are playing Poplar Bluff. Who knows who's going to be playing in the game for Jackson, right? Hopefully Jackson wins against Lee Summit, and they'll be playing in the state title game on December 6th. So, the Reagans and Jory Toma, anybody else, DJ, whoever else is on the basketball roster, probably won't be playing. Maybe in the entire tournament. We'll see. But so that will greatly affect how Jackson does. They might start slow basketball-wise, but it's for a good cause, right? Jackson's trying to win a state title in football. So I'll take that trade-off if you ask me. And then the other team kind of doing their own thing here, Saxony, not in the SEMO Conference, as we talked about, is playing in, the boys are playing in the Duke Herbert tournament up at Crystal City. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. We got a little bit of time till then. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Football's still going, man. Shout out to Jackson. Shout out to Coach Nesbitt. Shout out to all the boys. They're balling out. And like I said, I'll be there. I'll be calling the game up in Kansas City. Trying to figure out logistically how I'm doing that. I'll be in Springfield for Thanksgiving. Y'all don't care. But And if you want to listen to me even more than just calling the football game and doing this, I believe Rusty Hendricks of SEMO ESPN is putting out a basketball preview that yours truly was a part of recording before the game this past Saturday. I was over at the station, did the live pregame show, me and Cole Lee of SEMO Ball. We did that, and then we recorded an hour-plus long basketball preview, talked to some local coaches, Coach Frazier, one of those at Cape Central. So we talked some ball. I think he'll be putting that out also Saturday. It's usually when he does the morning show each weekend. So tune in to hear that. And he also puts it out on podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Look up SEMO ESPN. So that's what I'm doing. That's where I'll be at. So, yeah. Football, man. Jackson in the state semifinals. Crazy. And so, yeah, like I said, we'll be putting out the basketball stuff, basketball previews, coaches interviews, things like that soon. So be on the lookout for that. Until then, though, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it as always. Appreciate the support. Anybody who ever hits me up in public, I always appreciate it. I might be better at talking in an empty room by myself to a camera than I am to you in public. I'm sorry. But, yeah, it's always appreciated. Thank you guys for watching, listening, subscribing. Go check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube so we can live stream on YouTube one day. Appreciate that. And, yeah, stick with us. We got one more week of football. And you can watch the game, Misha TV. It's going to be $10.60 probably. So if you can't make the trip, I understand that. Or listen to me on the radio, calling it 104.7. So, yeah, well, thank you always, and have a good Thanksgiving. And we will see you in the next one. Take it easy.